Last time I showed you how I made this playable interior tavern for tabletop games. Today I'm going to show you how I put together this second floor that is removable for easy playability. So today we're going to use some of these wooden rectangles that I found at Michael's, a few jumbo craft sticks, some barbecue skewers, some coffee sticks, and a few matches. And if you want to find any of these materials, you can find links to some of them in the description below. Alright, let's go ahead and figure out what we're going to be doing. So these squares are pretty nice, they're pretty thin, and they are 3.5 by 4.5. So I drew out a grid marking out a 1 1/8 inch space for the playable surface. Now I've got 3 of these, and we're going to use them to make the foundation for the second floor. Now this is going to be 3 rooms for kind of like an inn that you would find at the top of a medieval tavern or in the back of the building kind of thing. So what we're going to do is just kind of lay them out on the top of the first floor here and just kind of plot out how our floor is going to go and keep in mind the intention of making it removable. So we don't want to just attach it and then leave it in permanently. So what I want to have happen is have a balcony come across to be kind of a walkway and some stairs coming down the corner. Alright, so let's go ahead and start making the floor. Alright, so we know we're going to use all 3 and we want it to be removable, so I marked out a quick little pattern on the back side of these, and this is going to just kind of mark down where it's going to overlap with the walls and the first floor. And then I marked out a couple locations where we're going to have some supports coming off for the balcony. So the first thing I did was glue them together, and I did a couple of marks to make sure everything lined up correctly. Then using a 5-inch cut piece of a barbecue skewer, I glued that down to kind of reinforce the area, and this is also going to act as kind of like a little stopper to make sure that it all lines up correctly when it gets fitted into place. Then gluing a few skewers together to create kind of a wider support, I glued them in place underneath to be the supports for the balcony. Now, because this is going to be on the underside, you don't have to clean it up super well, but I am gonna get rid of a lot of the large blobs of hot glue. Alright, so now test fitting this into place. This will give me an opportunity to make sure everything is fitting the way I want it to and nothing is out of place. And I can already tell that we're going to need a couple of more supports for the balcony just to kind of make sure that everything fits correctly. Alright, so off camera I cut a few little support cross beams to put in. This will be primarily to hold all of the wooden planks for the balcony. So for the balcony planks, I'm cutting these to be 1.5 inches long, and I'm just going to cut up a whole bunch of these and then we will fix them into place with some hot glue. Alright, so to put the planks in, I'm just doing them one at a time. This way I don't have the risk of the hot glue cooling down and nothing fitting. And I'm leaving some gaps just to add a little bit of extra character for the balcony. So now we're going to need a whole lot of little floor planks. So these are going to go inside of the inn rooms, and I cut them to 1 1/8 inches in length, and then I cut all of the corners at a rough 45-degree cut, just to add a little bit of extra character. And then like we did with the ground floor, I punched and drilled out some nail holes. Now, in the first video, I mentioned that it would be better to do a alternating grid, so that's what I did for the second floor, just to kind of make the grid more noticeable. And once those are all fitted into place, we can do another test fitting to make sure everything lines up, and also plan out where we want our stairs and the railing to go. Alright, so now we need to make our stairs. So I cut this little shape. I'm going to make the stairs in two sections. There's going to be a lower section leading up to a platform, and then an upper section leading to the second floor. So I'm cutting each of the sections of the stairs to be 1.5 inches tall, and then adding some simple little supports to the back to kind of keep everything in place and keep them from wobbling. Then it's just a simple matter to fix all of the stair steps into place. Now, here on camera I'm using hot glue. Off camera I actually changed it to use super glue. It holds a lot faster and there's a lot less mess and a lot less cleanup. So just a little something to keep in mind. Now I do use a couple of extra barbecue skewers to kind of add some reinforcements and make sure everything lines up correctly and is stable. Now here you can see the finished piece of the stairs. The upper section is the exact same as the lower section, just on a slightly higher supported stilt. As you can see, these are about 3 inches tall, which is the height of the walls for the first floor of the tavern. And a perfect fit. Nice. Alright, so now we need to make a railing for the balcony. So I've got a couple of lengths of skewer here, and I found these at the Dollar Tree. These are little mini clothespins, but if we take them apart, they're going to add a lot of extra little texture and detail to the banister and the railings. As you can see here, they are a perfect fit for the banisters that I cut, and they add some instantaneous little texture and design. Then using some super glue, I tack them into place. This will hold pretty quickly and be pretty strong once the glue fully sets. Alright, so now I'm just doing a quick little test fit, but I'm not going to glue this into place. I want to paint the railing before I glue it in. Alright, so now let's go ahead and make our walls. So, same as the ground floor, we're going to start by making a little kind of panel, and then using some larger clothespins, I'm going to attach them as the support beams just to give a little bit of extra detail. But I'm only going to put these on the outside of the walls, not what's going to be on the inside. Now, because a couple of the wall sections are going to be very long, I'm going to put together a couple of the panels, and then the line in between where they get glued together, I'm going to cover that up with another clothespin. Now off camera I did a couple little extra details, the top and bottom panel supports, but here you can see I am putting in a few extra little details just to kind of give the impression that everything is supported. Then using some matchsticks, I created a window frame that is a 1/2 inch by a 1/4 inch in size, and I'm doing 2 window frames per panel, but only along the back wall. Then I made a mix of wall spackle and Mod Podge, and then kind of pasted it into place to hide all of the wood paneling and give the appearance of stucco. And then once that's dry, I took it outside and gave it a base coat in Krylon Brown, and now we can move on to painting. So the floor is painted the exact same way as the previous video, and then the walls I do a overbrush of raw sienna on all of the wood paneling and all the support beams, and then follow it up with a light to medium dry brush of warm gray to add some weathering. And then finally follow it up with a triple coating of unbleached titanium on all of the stucco and filler. This will give the appearance of nice white walls. Alright, so now it's time to assemble everything together. So starting with our window, I'm going to add in our aluminum tape. This will give a nice little shiny reflective surface to give the impression of a through-and-through window. Just always remember to kind of press it down and make sure all your corners are fitted correctly. Then using some black mesh metal grating, I fit that in place and just kind of wedge it into position to be our window leading that is pretty typically seen in all medieval buildings. Then using some hot glue, I very carefully fit everything into place. Some of the walls are a little bit more bendable than others, so I can kind of bend everything into place to make sure I have a firm grip with hot glue. Now, the front wall is a little wobbly, but once the interior walls are put into place, it is a whole lot more rigid. And then attaching the back section and the side pieces, everything is fully assembled except for our railing, which is just going to be a couple little tacks of hot glue to fit everything into place, since the super glue would actually kind of be a lot more brittle with the paint. Alright, so finally we are going to fit our stairs into place by gluing it directly into the corner, since this isn't going to be a piece that moves. Alright, so once that's done, everything is coming together nicely. We can do our final fit. And look at that. Now we have a nice removable second floor that we can take down for extra visibility for the players at the table. And we can decorate this all kinds of different ways. This is going to be so much fun to use on the table. Alright, and here we are with the finished tavern. I added a few decorations just to give it a little bit more life. As you can see, it really locks everything together and gives a whole lot of playability. I might end up making a few more modular things that can be swapped out for this, maybe a third or a fourth floor kind of setup. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the series. Please hit that like button, subscribe for future content, comment in the comments section, and we will see everyone next episode.